What's up, everybody? I am back with a new reaction video, something that came across my feed that I thought was kind of interesting. Friendship is not gay, actually, by Geeky Stoics. I think this might be talking about how friendships are depicted in media in recent years compared to how they was back then. And I haven't seen this yet, so I'm going in blind, but I'm going under the assumption it's going to be talking about how, like, people can't have platonic friendships nowadays. Everybody, these shippers, this day and age is kind of like want to force relationships on everybody. Like, oh, they're super close, but they gotta be gay for each other or something like that. It's like, they can just be good friends. But like this video, leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think of the video. Check out Geeky Stoics. I'd like to give people their little shout outs here. And follow me on links in the description below, like my YouTube channel and Twitch, as I stream video games, review content, as well as react to some videos such as this. So without further ado, let's check out this video.
Those who cannot conceive of friendship as a substantive love, but only as a disguise of eros, betray the fact that they have never had a friend. Fellas, is friendship
gay?
With June now behind us, some call it Pride, there was another fresh round of national conversation about LGBT representation in popular media, and I came across this nightmare. Frog and Toad, remember them? These books by Arnold Lobel, who was gay by the way, were among my favorites as a kid. My memories with these books aren't visceral, but they're more like fingerprints. I still feel the warmth of these stories. And it has a lot to do with the sincerity and simplicity of that friendship on those pages. But like so many other popular stories and friendships, people like to twist their meaning, and I'll tell you why they do this. Friends are fellow travelers. We recognize ourselves in them, and when friendships are healthy, we reveal ourselves and aren't punished for it. That's a very simple fact of most male and female relationships. There will always be some higher degree of scrutiny over the pairing, and in many cases, the friend zone or the failure of a romance to come about is taken as rejection or punishment. Men, like women, need space for relationships free of this factor, where none of this is taken into account. Friendship is about affection, but you hear it all the time. Sam and Frodo from Tolkien's Lord of the Rings is a perfect example. They must be gay. These two men couldn't possibly travel Middle-earth together, sacrificing life and limb, comfort and safety for anything other than sexual attraction. And my God, the eye contact when they speak to one another and cry in their shared suffering. The word toxic gets quite abused, but it's...
I'm not gonna lie. In that room where Frodo was waking up out of that sickness in that castle, it's been a long time since I watched the original Lord of the Rings. I only seen the original Lord of the Rings. I haven't seen none of the other spin-offs. But I remember when he waking up and he's looking at Sam. That was a gay look. That was kind of gay, because that at least that part. Everything else around it, I didn't think much of it. It was just like, yeah, they're just good friends. But that particular moment, the way that scene was shot, that was pretty gay. I think everybody kind of know that. But literally gay, no. But once again, people can't just be good friends without some weird shipping from the alphabet community.
Actually so toxic to suggest this, and it comes from the very people who complain the loudest about straight men's emotionally withholding nature. Men should cry more. Why can't they share their feelings? But if they do, gay.
Wait, hold on. Wait a second. This is gay. This is really gay. Yeah, this is even gayer than all the men getting in a big pile and having sex with each other. Okay, sorry, my bad. Everyone back in the pile.
Back in the pile, everyone! We're going back to the pile. Jump in!
We should abolish Trump's ICE.
Oh, these stupid little ads. Yeah. And I think people like I did like a TikTok video about stoicism, which you can check out on my TikTok channel, and the importance of men being stoic. Not saying like guys gotta be emotionless robots, but we know where to aim it. Usually we go to the gym or work with our hands, or like using like handy equipment, or if you're creative, you pour into that. But if we need to share anything vulnerable, it's ideal to do it with men you trust, like a male relative or a very close male friend that you probably grew up with, or had like a friendship for a very, very long time, where you earn each other's trust. Because males, when we have a problem, we don't just want to talk about it, because women feel better when they just talk and vent, and that's how they get over their issues most of the time. It's a very small portion of the time when they actually want things fixed. With guys, it's only a very small portion where we actually just want to talk it out. More times than not, we go to somebody in hopes that they have a solution for us to fix whatever problem we might have. If I got certain issues, I usually go to my father or my male best friend or my brother or a couple of male cousins. That's who I usually go to with whatever problem I have, because men understand each other, and we by and large walk through each other's shoes, so we know how to handle certain things and give other tangible advice that more often than not will work for one another. We don't go to women, doesn't matter if we're in a relationship with a woman, we don't typically go to you ladies, not to say that you wouldn't be there for us, but you won't be able to solve our problems the same way, because whatever advice you might give might be an advice that will be best suited for another woman, because you live an entirely different lifestyle compared to how men walk life. We don't pour our heart out to you. It's probably not wise to pour our heart out to you. Not to saying like you wouldn't be understanding, but it's just that you won't be able to handle whatever. Well, I don't want to use that phrase, but our problems is a whole another kettle of fish. It's like we as men have to grow up and deal with life a lot harsher than women do. We go through the grind, very back-breaking, dirty, often dangerous work, and we got nobody to come swoop in and save us and rescue us from our woes so we can live a cushy life. No, we have to be the one to provide more times than not the cushy life, which requires us to go through the grind. So if we have an issue or a bump in the road, it's imperative that we don't go to you, because we need to be the rock in your eyes. Not the rock, but a rock. So for all intents and purposes, your guy is just like a pillar of strength with very little cracks in it. And I know most women out there, my man can come to me, and like, I'll be there for him. I know this and that. That's all well and good now when it's not, and there's no issue yet. But we don't know until we cross that bridge. And more often than not, whatever issue a guy might have, we don't know how you'll react until you're in the moment. We don't want to roll that dice. It's probably imperative we don't roll that dice, because we might crap out. It's sad, but pattern recognition tells us through over the course of the years, through many generations, through various different guys who with very different backgrounds, more often come across women who they tried once or even twice, sharing something vulnerable with a woman, and they get tossed in her face, or they end up leaving us because there's a back of your female lizard brain that will just scream at you, whether you realize it or not. This guy, he's weak, or he's so unsure of himself. Like, I gotta plan my exit strategy because he, you know, he might shed a tear over the, like he lost his job and now he's like worried, and now you're just like, oh God. You don't want to admit that because it might make you look bad as a person, because it's all about image for a lot of you ladies. But deep down, you want the man to be a pillar of strength. I'm not saying there are a few you women who will be there and can take on that vulnerability and still rock with a guy. There are you out there, but even it's just too small of a portion of y'all all out there, and most of you are already snatched up by probably a good guy. So yeah, we can't be, vulnerable in the same way with you. So that's why we have to, I think it's the best idea to go as a guy to another trusted guy, not any guy, just a trusted guy with your issues. Or even if you need to have a good cry, if something like really got to you, like you can go to a male figure in your family, like a brother or something like that, who won't lose attraction for you or lose respect for you because he understands. But he'll probably just tell you to buck up or do the Godfather thing. You can act like a man. But sometimes we need that kick in the pants just to toughen up a bit, because we have to toughen up, because life isn't gonna be life's gonna be way harsher than any trusted male figure in your life. A father or a brother telling you to buck up or walk it off or straighten up or tighten up is less harsh by comparison to life. He's trying to prepare you because you're going to be going through a lot of strife, but you need to have that callus, that armor, to be able to handle that stuff. And like, your lady is only there to make sure that she fixes up your bruises and knit your wounds, kiss your boo-boos. But she don't need to hear how you slayed the dragon or how tough it was to slay that dragon. She doesn't need to know that.
A warm friend of J.R.R. Tolkien for a time, wrote about this in explicit terms in his book, The Four Loves: Affection, Friendship, Eros, and Charity, which lays out a vision of masculine friendship in Chapter 2. In it, he starts off, "It has actually become necessary in our time to rebut the theory that every firm, serious friendship is really homosexual." It applies perfectly to Frog and Toad and also to Sam and Frodo when Lewis quips, "It cannot be proved, and it cannot be refuted." This chapter is some of C.S. Lewis's most fiery and clearly agitated writing.
And that's why, I also want to point out, Has Been a Hotel. I know the people behind it, are part of the LGBTQ community and stuff like that. But I think, they are just, hunger to like ship people or something like that. Or they have a community of followers that are hungry to ship people together. Like, what was Keith David's character, and that that corn star demon. I forgot what that character's name was. That's in the hotel, and they have fun, witty banter. But if I was Keith David, I would probably be begging them, like, please don't ship me with this other characters. Like, I'm not, I'm not down for that kind of stuff personally. But maybe you can't say it because it might like look homophobic. But it's like, the community I see on like, like Facebook, feeds. It's like they gotta be together. It's like, no, they don't. They could just be decent friends. You can be friends with a gay person without assuming like, oh, like you gotta be into him. It's like, no. And that's probably gonna be a thing in like, because I think they wrapped up season 2, not too long ago. But obviously it's gonna be a season 3, and I just know they're gonna try to push that agenda just to please the shippers, instead of just making it like a decent platonic relationship with people who are probably just good friends and could have just leave it at that, where one of them just happened to be gay. It's not like gay people don't have straight platonic friendships of the same sex.
The very lack of evidence is thus treated as evidence. The absence of smoke proves the fire is only carefully hidden. If there was an invisible cat in the chair, it would look empty, but the chair does look empty, therefore there's an invisible cat in it. There are so many great male friendships in literature and TV. Sherlock and Watson, Corey and Sean from Boy Meets World, Arnold and Gerald, Jon Snow and Sam Tarley, Jay and Silent Bob, Turk and JD from Scrubs.
There's nothing gay about it in our eyes.
And there's different flavors of friendship. The bromance is the TV sitcom default. It's guys backslapping, being vulgar, venting about their wives, and just having fun. Sometimes these on-screen relationships toy with the gay question as a matter of comedy, JD and Turk being a good example of that.
You're the only man who's ever been inside of me.
Whoa.
Playing grab ass is part of the shtick, and that's a thing that guys do with select friends. Then there's the service buddy, the guy who you work with and share a mission. Castiel and Dean from Supernatural, Band of Brothers, Sam and Frodo. Sometimes we choose one another's company, but sometimes we don't. In the Fellowship of the Ring movie, Samwise Gamgee is sort of deployed by Gandalf to accompany Frodo because he heard about the ring through the window. But it's a relationship overflowing with a sense of duty, shared love for something bigger than themselves, and a mutual respect. Lovers are normally face to face, friends side by side. Men thrive in labor together. The best friendships I ever formed were in shared suffering on Boy Scout trips, in the rain, in the cold, in the wind, trying to set up a tent together in the dark, and men used to work together more regularly side by side before the digital era. I'm very lucky to work from home and have a keyboard warrior job, but it's isolating. I imagine many of you out there experience the same thing. I hated my cubicle job in my 20s, but I loved the presence of my cubicle mate, Dave, and his Star Wars bobbleheads and daily jokes about Grand Admiral Thrawn. There was a camaraderie and a kind of bromance that it was kind of surface level, but like the warmth of a fire, you can feel it most sharply when it's no longer in your life. Men are, in fact, dealing with a crisis of loneliness in the modern world. The culture changed, but so did the economy, which has elevated the skills of loner types and diminished the contributions of men eager to work side by side toward building something or destroying things. The pleasure in cooperation, in talking shop, in the mutual respect and understanding of men who daily see one another tested is biologically valuable. One of the key features of worthwhile friendships is that the circle expands to include others. C.S. Lewis wrote that the opening line of a friendship is, "What? You too? I thought I was the only one." Things begin in a shared love for something and grow from there. For C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien, they were opponents at Oxford on a matter regarding the English language curriculum, but they found out that they were both obsessed over Icelandic myth and language, and so they formed a club around it called the Coalbiters. No one is going to find a friend based purely on selfish motivation like ending their loneliness. It has to begin with a passion and an interest in other people.
Yeah, a lot of my closest friend, named Jeremiah, great friend. We used to work together in a grocery store in Chicago, and we talk about nerdy stuff. I think the first topic, the earliest conversation I had that wasn't about work that I remember having with him was, I think it was about Gundam. And I'm not really a huge Gundam fan, but I can't remember the context of why I brought it up. But we had a conversation, and we formed a good friendship. And there was quite a few others that I had friendship from working at that job, but me and him maintained. Well, him and another person, but the other male friend I had, he passed away. Actually, it was a year ago. But it was him and his girlfriend at that time, along with Jeremiah, that I, still maintain like a friendship well beyond the time that I worked there. But I still maintain like in contact with her, and but I not only maintain contact with Jeremiah, but we often hang out, and we don't talk, like every day, but probably maybe twice or once a week we, talk on the phone, and on occasion we hung out. Matter of fact, I think the last time we hung out was on our birthday last year, and we went to the Harry Potter store that opened up, a few weeks prior to my birthday in downtown Chicago, and then we went there, and I got some stuff from the store, and then we went out to this. Him and his wife took me to this Asian restaurant where you cook your own food. I forgot what the word is called, but you know what I'm talking about. And had a great time, had a great conversation, and we just like piled around. No, sorry, it wasn't my birthday the last time we hung out. The last time we hung out was on his birthday, because we hung out on my birthday. But then later on in the year, I hung out with him on his birthday, and I stood outside in the cold of early, like it was still winter time, but it wasn't like snowy like that. But it was, the wind chill was obviously picking up. We went to go because he pre-ordered the Nintendo Switch 2, and I stood in line with him in the Best Buy. Pretty much like standing with him. Pretty much like kind of sort of like his bodyguard, whatever like that, and just hung out, talked with him and a couple of people in the line. So he can go in there and pick up his Nintendo Switch 2. Went back to his spot to hook it up so he can download, the stuff from his original Nintendo Switch to the Nintendo Switch 2. And we played some Mario Kart and a couple other games, and we just, order in some, fast food and just chill out at his spot. And him and another buddy of his that came over, and we just had a nice guy time. I think his wife was out on like a business trip for a couple of days, but we just had like a nice little guy time, and like guys need that from one another. Cause arguably I think guys have better friendships than females do, cause we rarely alternate friends like that or push guys out of the friendship crew like that. We understand like a level of loyalty. Even if we get into one of us get into a disagreement with another, unless it's something truly horrendous, we often will eventually make up, given some time, and like the other guys try to, help us patch things up and kind of squash the beef, so and have us like shake hands or something, and it's and friendships forged anew, and often even stronger because we've been through those kind of trials. Guys, I mean, like, I'm sorry, girls rarely get that kind of stuff or rarely understand that stuff. And in terms of group of, let's look at someone like Mean Girls. Four of those, a group of girls like that, maybe two are legit friends, and it will stay legit friends for a very long time. And I understand that's like a bad example because it's high school, but even if you're going so far as like just coming out of college, it's like you have like a group of girls. Let's say a group of 5 girls. Maybe 2 of them will probably be legit good friends. The others, they probably try to get something out of each other, or they got something that they could use off of each other. I want to say like girls don't have any legit friendships, but they're so small, and they probably got maybe one legit ride or die friend that will hold you accountable for stuff when you're wrong and not just egg you on. guys tend to hold each other's feet to the fire and call each other out for dumb stuff. More often
Men
than
do
not.
want to work together and feel like they're part of something. The Stoic Seneca touched on this when he described seeking out friends just so that you won't die alone. Anyone thinking of his own interests and seeking out friendship with this in view is making a great mistake. Those kinds of friends are fair weather and clingy. The fellowship that forms in Tolkien's Rivendell is not an amalgamation. It is part of the masculine instinct to take up arms with the guy next to you. We long for courage, and so often we're just waiting for the guy next to us to get the ball rolling. Someone has to say I first. True.
I gotta say, I'm curious to know, in your opinion, what is the best Sean Bean performance? Because it's like a tie between Game of Thrones as Ned Stark and his character in GoldenEye, in my personal opinion, in terms of like my favorite Sean Bean performance.
Truly meaningful friendships, they are not closed. They invite others into it. Two men getting together like Lewis and Tolkien did to share their writing becomes a campfire that other men want to join, and that's the group that became the Inklings, which helped birth The Hobbit and the Screwtape Letters and Narnia. Friendships have to be about something, and that can be literature or fantasy sports or soccer, video games, or war reenactments. You will not find the warrior, the poet, the philosopher, or the Christian by staring in his eyes as if he were your mistress. Better fight beside him, read with him, argue with him, pray with him. Masculinity requires doing things. It's not just setting things right or bringing order to chaos.
And my friend often gives me great sound advice in terms of like, work related stuff. He gave me great sound advice. And I'm often like helping him out from time to time too. Like, he likes collecting popcorn buckets. There's one time where like I went to go see the Deadpool and Wolverine movie because I was going to go there so early to see it, and the popcorn buckets at the time was going to be very limited. He sent me extra money to not only pay for my popcorn and drink, but extra to just kind of like break even. Like, hey, here's some money, because I can't go right now to get early to get the popcorn buckets myself. Here's some money. I will not only forward you money to take care of like the popcorn buckets for me and hold it for me, and I'll come pick it up from you for your place later. But I'll throw in some extra money to pay for your popcorn and drink as like a as a thank you for helping me out. And I was like, oh, no problem. And I held on to that, for like at least a day or two, and make sure it's in decent condition and the wrapping and everything like that, and make sure when he comes to pick it up, like I send it out to him, so they're nothing scuffing them or anything like that. So good friendships, okay, doing solids for each other, and nobody's taking advantage of each other, and we give each other sound advice, that kind of thing. Guys' friendships are nothing to be slept on, okay? Like true friendships.
It involves saying yes.
And I think many women, not a lot, but many women out there are probably very, jealous of male friendships deep down. There's very few that actually admit that. Like they are jealous of male friendships, because many women have to deal with other women, other ladies, subterfuge and underhanded stuff, because women always want to try to get something out of somebody, usually as men, but this very two-faced act that they do around each other is kind of messed up. They a lot of women like to play in your face. They really be upfront about what they really truly think, because they want to still maintain the herd rather than thinking from themselves. It's kind of
when you
kind of
might
messed
want
up.
to say no to your kids, to your wife, to your community, to the guy at work who wants to hang out on Friday when you're tired. When you get locked into despair and saying no and you retreat into yourself, there's nothing there. The world becomes worse off and you need to be a part of it. Men have to be willing to get hurt and to be challenged.
Cap,
I
great
think a lot
friends.
about strained
Batman and
friendships like
Superman,
that of
great
Boromir
friends.
and Aragorn, or Bucky and Captain America, even 007 and 006 before the events of GoldenEye. They're people in tension with one another. They fight, but they're passionate. They care about things. John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, America's most explosive frenemy relationship, was so warm and so affectionate at one time, and so wounded because these men wanted to build a country, but they couldn't agree on the details. They loved one another because in that friend, in that rival, was someone else who cared. That's what I want. I want people in my life who give a damn and want to talk about it. Men are not often very good at this. It does take time, but that starts with making your values known. It gives somebody else the opportunity to reciprocate. You have to open the door so someone can walk through it. And guys, that relationship might end up looking a lot like Frog and Toad or Sam and Frodo. There will be hugs, backslaps, eye contact, tears, anger, and quiet coexistence. You can sit.
Anime definitely do male friendships and often male frenemies and rivals so well that you can't help but relate. Oh my god. I mean, like, the friendship between, like, Deku and Bakugo, or, like, Deku and Todoroki, that is friends. Or even something like Naruto and Sasuke. Sure, there's rivalry, but deep down, there's friendship there. True friendship. Even though they try to knock each other's block off every once in a while, they have deep friendship. Even Goku and Vegeta, despite the rivalry, there is like friendship there. That I don't know if it was like a movie or just a particular episode where somebody tried to. No, I think it was the Tournament of Power, where somebody tried to utilize Goku's. No, not Tournament of Power. It was like the Goku Black arc, and because, like, spoiler alert for Goku Black arc, where when Zamasu of a different timeline took the body of Goku and gained all this power, it was Vegeta who put it, threw it in Goku Black's face, because despite his, like, rivalry with Goku, he stood up for Goku and put him, like, it said these kind words. It was, at least to a lot of fans, there was some true kind words that Vegeta rarely say because he really want to admit it. But he points out that Goku is a true Saiyan because he goes through the grind. He works hard like a true Saiyan. You cut corners. You will never be a true Saiyan, not unlike Kakarot. You cheated. That's why we cannot respect you, and that's why we will beat you. That's why he will beat you, because he did the work. You pretty much just took over. That you took the lazy route because you knew you couldn't stand up against a true Saiyan. And I was like, I kind of, paraphrase, but that's essentially the consensus to what he was trying to convey. Where it's like, yeah, this is my friend, and despite our rivalry, I respect him because he actually put in the work. There's respect there, and that's what the thing guys love more than any. Like, the way women love compliments is how guys feel about respect. If you give unwavering respect towards a guy, he will never forget it, and he will have your back for life. Yeah, that's
around
how
and play
guys
video
operate.
games,
You
do
like,
nothing, or go out on an
respect.
adventure. You share one another's company. Now, why does the culture try to corrupt and deride friendship? One of C.S. Lewis's most bold claims in The Four Loves about this is that friendships are a threat to power and collectivist tyranny. When you form a clique, it discriminates and sets up walls around it about who is a good fit and who isn't. It's selective and values-based, and those values can be bad or they can be good. And what he feared most was sort of a quasi-communist world in which all men are companions, but none are friends. Which is to say, they are forced into one another's company. Nobody chooses it. Friendship is a miniature rebellion against larger groups and power structures. And I think deep, affectionate, and values-driven male friendships are in fact threatening to some people. So be a bug in the system. Build friendships. And that starts with putting your values out there and purpose for people to see. Let's get it done. Thanks for watching, Geeky.
Yeah, definitely check out his channel because I love his take. Yeah, friendships are, like male friendships especially, they are not to be taken lightly because you would like go through the meat grinder for your friend, and vice versa. Those things, like you look at something like the men that fought in wars, not even just modern wars, even something like, like samurai or medieval knights who went through wars together. They form bonds that last a lifetime. You can trust your friend with your life, with your kid, with your wife. You don't have to worry about a dang thing because the way we fought and bled for each other. And but anyway, I'm curious to know what you guys think. Do you have like a solid friend like that? I'm curious to know. But anyway, I will see you guys later. Take care.